Good morning, everybody. Happy Teacher Cadet Day. Gosh, I miss you, Fairfield. You guys look great. I love your t-shirts. Hi, guys. How are you? Nice to see you, York Prep. Hi. Good morning, South Point.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, hi, guys. Did you guys get accepted to Winthrop? Any of you?
Yeah.
Yay! Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good morning, Fort Mill.
Good morning, Erica.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. We're trying to get this thing up because you know
Okay.
we can't Zoom or anything.
Oh gosh. Well, can you see it?
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay, let me know if you need anything. Good
Okay.
morning, Clover, and good morning, Central High School. Hey, nice to see you. Good morning, Union High School. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Hi. Happy Teacher Cadet Day. Okay, so we're gonna get started in 1 minute. Okay, good morning and welcome to our Fall 2021 Teacher Cadet Day. I am so excited to see all of you kind of come together virtually for day one of 2 days of our Teacher Cadet Conference. I hope that you guys are so excited to kind of hear from our keynote speaker this morning and also to meet our teaching fellows and our Call Me Misters. And then tomorrow you're going to have the opportunity to take a class with our renowned Winthrop faculty. So without hesitation, we're going to go ahead and get started. This will be recorded, so if you are a teacher cadet instructor who has a second block, it will be posted as soon as we finish at 10. Or if you want to, if your class ends a little bit early, we'll record the full thing so that you can see it after. So for our agenda for today, we're going to kick it off at 8:40 with our keynote address by Mrs. Danny Stroud. At 9:05 to 10 a.m. Hold on one second. Okay, so let's try this again. So for today, we're gonna just quickly go over a couple of things. At 8:40, can you guys see the PowerPoint as well? Yes? No?
No, we can't see.
No, you can't. Okay, let me stop this for 1 second. Okay, we got it. So sorry, everyone. All right, here we go. Let's see if you can see it now. Yes? Yay. Okay, look at all your cute faces. All right, so again, welcome to Teacher Cadet Day. It has been so fun to either see you virtually or to see you in person. Again, you are welcome to join us in February, or if you're ever on campus, please let me know, send me an email so that I can show you around Winthrop. We will be taking some photos today and having some content on our Instagram, so feel free to add us, especially tomorrow if you do something fun with your professors. Okay, so here's the game plan for today and for tomorrow. From 8:40 to 9:05, we're gonna have our keynote address by Mrs. Danny Stroud, who's on the call, and I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. At 9:05 to 10, we are gonna have our Winthrop Teaching Fellow and Call Me Mr. panel, led by Dr. Fuller. And from 10 to 10:15, you can take a virtual tour of Winthrop. It's on a YouTube video. You'll get to meet all of our admissions counselors. If you have recently been admitted to Winthrop University, congratulations again. For those of you who haven't heard, we have done early admission for any students who applied before October 15th. So you have received your notification if you've been accepted as a Winthrop Eagle. I saw so many of your names and I'm just so excited. I do hope that you sign up to be an Eagle. If you want to apply, it's not too late. Remember, you can apply before December 1st with that fee waiver. And then tomorrow from 9 to 9:30, which will be most of you who are here this morning, or from 10:50 to 11:20, you'll take a Winthrop class. So you'll come in, get on your computers and sign in. The link below for everything that we're doing today and tomorrow is at www.winthrop.edu/admission/teachercadetday.aspx. So you can just type that in. You can also just Google search Winthrop Teacher Cadet Day and it will come up. It will have all of your Zoom links for you, or Google Meets, whichever one you want to click. All right, so we're gonna quickly just do a roll call. You guys already kind of kicked it off, so thank you for already saying hello this morning, but I want to make it official. So we're gonna do a roll call. You're gonna unmute yourself so that we can hear you. I like competitions, as you know, so let's see who has the most spirit. All right, for Buford, we're all gonna cheer because it's only one cadet. Her name is Tia. So when it is time to hit Buford at the very end, Y'all give a warm welcome to Tia because she's taking Teacher Cadet out at Beaufort High School all by herself, and we're just proud of her. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start with Central. Central, let me see if you are ready. Actually, I'm gonna start with Clover. Clover, I know you have spirit. And so I'm gonna have you kick it off. I see you guys. I see you already scheming because you already are super spirited. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Clover High School. That was great. Thank you. Okay, let's try Fairfield Central High School.
Fairfield, yeah!
Y'all, thank you. Okay, after that, we have Fort Mill High School. I love it. You guys are also being so cautious of who's around you, and I appreciate it. Indian Land High School. They're hopping in a minute, so we will see them probably at 9. Nation Ford, are you guys on the call? Okay, good morning, Nation Ford. I think they're watching it back also at 9 a.m. Rock Hill High School, I saw you guys. Where are you at? Wow, hey Rock Hill. Okay, South Point High School. Oh my goodness. Also, can we note how many of you are in that room right now? 5? Yes, okay, you guys had a lot of spirit. That was loud. All right, Union High School.
Hi.
The sweetest. You guys are the sweetest. York Prep Academy. Thank you. York Comprehensive. Okay. Throwing it back to Central High School. Okay. And Beaufort, they're not on the call yet because they're joining in at 9. But thank you so much for joining. It's wonderful to see all of your faces. Some quick announcements. Just as a reminder to our future educators, again, you can apply for free before December 1st. Congratulations again to all of our early Eagles. Educator signing day is May 18th, 2022. So we hope to see all of you who are planning to go into education join us at Winthrop University, regardless of the college that you're going to, so that we can celebrate you and officially welcome you into the education community. For scholarships, these are upcoming, but I want you to keep these dates in mind. You can apply for the Sarah's Ken Bauer Scholarship. That one is going to be open usually around March. The deadline is around March 2022. We will send you more information on that as it comes out. And then the Winthrop Teacher Cadet Scholarship is available for all of our teacher cadets who are coming to Winthrop University to major in education. That one is a $1,000 scholarship awarded to 2 of our teacher cadets. That one, the deadline will be in April 2022, and I will email your teacher cadet instructors who will then forward you the information. You can also learn more on our Instagram page. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so for today, it is going to be my pleasure to introduce you to Mrs. Stroud. So just so you know a little bit about her before I pass it over, Mrs. Stroud grew up thinking that she was going to be a doctor, but credits life's unexpected twists and turns for bringing her to a career she adores. She started college with the goal of becoming a family physician who practiced in a small town. During her last year of college, Mrs. Stroud decided being a doctor was a family expectation, not her true calling. After double majoring in chemistry and biochemistry at the College of Charleston, she earned a Master's of Arts in Teaching Chemistry from the University of South Carolina. While serving as a teaching assistant at U of SC, Danny discovered her love of education. Mrs. Stroud's greatest contributions and accomplishments in education are her passion she ignites in her students. She inspires them to choose careers that they can get excited about doing every day. The number of her students that have become educators is significant. No matter their future occupations, she teaches them to look at worldly interconnectedness through scientific eyes, to use evidence in making decisions, and to have the willingness to pass knowledge to another generation with energy, kindness, empathy, and a few laughs. Today, Mrs. Stroud proudly teaches a variety of science courses to students in grades 9 through 12 at Gilbert High School in Gilbert, South Carolina. Her schedule includes honors chemistry, a unified science/essentials in science, a course that she created that partners special needs and traditional students, marine science, and crew. She's the lead teacher for the science department, which allows her to work with other teachers as a mentor, coach, and thought partner. She's also on the Lexington 1 District Leadership Council and is a facilitator for the District Teacher Leadership Support. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to her. Please give me a warm welcome to Miss Stroud. Thank you. You guys are so
cute. Hey, good morning, everybody. Sorry about the announcements in the background. It's how the world works now, I think. All right, so greetings from Gilbert, America, in the center of our state. I am so excited to be talking with you this morning, and I just hate that I cannot be there with you guys in person, because one of the lessons that we've learned about education through all of this COVID is that there is magic that happens when a teacher is in a classroom with students that can't be replicated through a screen. But we've learned through trials and tribulations the best ways for us to connect with each other, and sometimes we just need to make sure that everybody is safe. So I just want to share with you a few things. One of the things is that I was asked to talk with you about methodologies that are the best practices in the classrooms. And I'm going to be honest, I had to Google the word methodologies to see exactly what it meant. When we talk about methodologies, we're talking about how to be an effective teacher. And I can tell you that I have taught for over 20 years in a traditional science classroom, but the last 18 months, I have been a first-year teacher again, because I have had the opportunity to teach asynchronously, virtually, synchronously, virtually, hybrid model, some kids face-to-face, some kids quarantined, dual modalities, you name it, we've had to do it. So I just want to share with you a few things about what makes effective lessons, what makes it possible to be an effective teacher, both in the classroom and virtually. Now, one of the things that I tell my students when I teach is, if nothing else, if you learn nothing else in my class, that when you make a strong statement or when you make an argument, you've got to back it up with evidence. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you some evidence of what goes on in my classroom, and hopefully you can pick up a few things that you can use as you further your career. All right, now no, I can see you. So if you're not looking at me, I know you're not thinking about what's going on. All right, so I'm going to try to share my screen, and I am going to share with you guys a quick presentation that I have made. And please, I promise you it's not horrible. Okay, so just a second. Some of teaching is watching this old lady work her computer. So hold tight. I'm sure you've done this before. Okay. All right. Now, of course, my menus are all in the wrong place. And here we go. All right. So there I am. All righty. That's where they put lots of makeup on me and made me smile and look fantastic. This is what I look like all the time. All right, so here we go. Maybe. There we go. All right, the most effective thing to do in a classroom is to intentionally build relationships with and among your students. If nothing else happens during the day, if you have had conversations with your students and you have built relationships with them, then you have won the day. So how do we do this? Okay, we're going to go back in time a bit. This is the first day of my chemistry class in the fall of 2017. Now, if we were all together, I would give you a few minutes to jot down some notices that you see in this classroom. I would call those low inference notices. Just very quick things. What do you notice? You'd be writing those on sticky notes. You'd be writing those on a whiteboard. I would give you a few minutes to turn and talk to a partner, but we don't have that luxury today. So just take a few minutes. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to look around the classroom and see what you can see. All right. I'm hoping you noticed a few things. Let's start with the classroom. In the back, you can see this really horrible bulletin board. I didn't ever really learn how to make bulletin boards, and that's pretty much the same paper that's always been there. But I want to tell you something. I start the beginning of the year with a blank bulletin board, and I allow students to build it. They can choose their high quality work. I take pictures of students working and put them up there. We write thank you notes. We get thank you notes. We do lots of things, and we just make our bulletin board a representative of what's going on in our classroom. But I want you to know that this was the first day of my chemistry class. And I hope you notice that my students are seated in groups. We do a lot of group work, and I'm super excited to know that we are heading back to being able to do group work in the classroom pretty soon. So what you see in here is our first day assignment. They walked into the room. I introduced myself, made sure they were all in the right place, and I handed them an envelope with puzzle pieces. And their job was to put the puzzle together. I did not give them a picture. I did not tell them what the puzzle was a picture of. In fact, I bought a couple puzzles from the dollar store and I mixed all the pieces together and then just divided them randomly into different envelopes and handed them out. So here we have students moving around a classroom. We see leaders emerge. We hear students talking with each other about what they have. They're yelling across the classroom. Does anybody have any corner pieces? Does anybody see anything that looks like a plant or a balloon? And they're up and they're moving. And notice that they're having interactions with each other. Nobody's on their phone. This is something they can't figure out by cutting and pasting or just Googling it. So they're working together to figure out what knowledge they have and how they can build each other up towards a common problem. And that's a theme that you'll see throughout all of my classes. While we're here for a moment, I want to point out a few students to you. There's this kid right here in the red. We're going to call him Big Jacob. All right. Here is a girl back here. This is Mallory over here. This is a young man named Chandler. This is a young man named Jesus. This is a girl named Rebecca. This is Alex. This is Josie. I could name all of our students that we have. And somewhere in this mix, there's a kid named Aaron, and I can't see him right now, but he's in there. These kids are going to come back. Let's fast forward a little bit. All right, so here's the next year. I have the pleasure of teaching students multiple years because I'm at a small school. And you can see at this point that this is AP Physics. Now, this is right around exam time in the fall of 2018. And if you're taking AP, dual enrollment, honors level classes, you've got a full load. If you're playing sports like basketball or baseball or football, or if you're in the arts, in the band, in the color guard, you are super busy. If you have a job after work, there's lots of things going on in your life. So one of the things that I've learned about building relationships with students is you have to be able to say yes sometimes, and you have to take a break. This is during exam week. The kids were stressed out. They said, we need to do something. So we stopped. I handed them this container of Connects that I bought at Goodwill. I had no idea what the pieces were, if I even had all the pieces. And these kids just started building a roller coaster. And it just took them some time. They came in during lunch to work on it. It was just something that they wanted to do to kind of de-stress a little bit. So you need to be able to take your classes and de-stress. You need to listen to when they're struggling. You need to watch when they get overwhelmed, and you need to hit the pause button. Other things that I've done in my class have included teaching them how to do line dances that you would have at a wedding. One day we stopped, and for 10 minutes, I taught them how to do the Macarena and the electric slide. Another day we needed to stop, and we did a little bit of yoga because everybody just looked a little stressed out. It took time away from what we were doing in the classroom, but it was more important for me to teach these students that you need to take care of yourself so that you can be a better person and you can learn in a better way. So here these guys are. This is a kid named Zach. This is Chandler again. This is Case, and this is Luke. And you're going to see those kids again later. All right, here's the next picture. We are moving through. This is the spring of 2019. At Gilbert High School, we have a structure called Crew, which is very much like an advisory classroom. And one of the things that we do to build relationships in our school is we work together to contribute to a better world. During the Crew structure, we have a philanthropy that we have to decide on. What do our students want to do? How do they want to make the world better? And so what this group of students did is we were having a conversation one day about what they like to do. And we live in the country and a lot of the kids like to hunt. And so we started talking about what could we do that was related to hunting and being outdoors. Other students were worried about food insecurity. How could we combine these things that they wanted to learn about into some type of way we can contribute to a better world? So what we did is we found an organization called Hunters and Landowners for the Hungry that was started in the upstate. And this is a group that combines processors that process deer, as well as food banks and grocery stores and things like that, to provide food for soup kitchens and for the needy. A lot of times processors process things that people have shot and the people never come and pick up the meat that's been processed. A lot of time hunters kill more deer than they can actually eat with their family. So you're allowed to get a tax write-off if you donate the meat to this organization. But this organization was just getting off the ground and they needed some help being connected to local processors, local hunters, and just getting the word out about their program. So my crew decided to work with them. We had a ping pong tournament that raised money that we donated to help them offset some administrative costs. We really had a good time. In fact, we went and visited with them at the Sportsman's Classic that was held at the fairgrounds. And we got to talk to the people that were involved in getting this off the ground. And we got to tour around and eat fried Oreos and do all those great things. Speaking of that, take your kids on field trips. Now, right now, as we're coming out of this COVID pandemic, it's very difficult to schedule field trips, but anytime you can take students outside the walls of your school, do it. It could be something as easy as just taking a walk around the block or the neighborhood. You could go to a nearby school and teach younger students, read books to them, volunteer in any way. You can invite the younger students up to your school and hold a science day where they get to work through different experiments, or you can have them bring the books that they have written and share with you. They love to do things like that. You can do things that are a little bit bigger. You can take them to the fair if you want to. There's lots of things and ways to connect the fair to what you're doing. You can take them on college tours to visit places that you've been or places that you would love to go. In fact, one of my classes, I was teaching astronomy and we were talking about Galileo, and I was telling them about how he helped invent the telescope. He pretty much just added on to somebody else's idea, but he's most well known for that, and how he presented it in Venice, Italy. And my students were like, well, let's go to Italy. And I said, okay. And the next thing I know, fast forward about 18 months, and I'm taking students to Italy for 10 days. We got to see the tower where Galileo showed the telescope to the world. And we got to go to Rome, and we got to see Florence and all these other great places. It was the trip of a lifetime for these kids. And I didn't know this, funny fact, that morning in the airport, I was talking to them about flying and what they knew. And out of the 6 children that went, 5 of them had never been on an airplane before. So that was a learning experience for us all. We had a great time. So work together with your students to contribute to a better world. That gives you a sense of unity. Find out what they care about. Do those things. Even in a traditional class, how can what you're doing in a class solve a real world problem, and how can connect outside? That interconnectedness, us all working towards a common goal, helps to build the relationships that we have. I'm going to point out a few students again. Here is Zach. We saw him earlier. Here's Aaron. We saw him earlier. Here's Big Jacob. There's Mallory. All right. We're starting to see some of the same kids over and over again. All right. The next thing to do to build relationships is to celebrate everything. the big and the small, and always bring snacks. This is my birthday. These kids came to school early and surprised me for my birthday. They brought balloons, they brought cupcakes, they brought drinks, they put it all together. And we went outside and took this picture. Again, you'll notice some of the same kids: Jesus, Mallory, Big Jacob, Aaron, Zach over here in the corner. All right. Patricia up front. I haven't pointed her out earlier, but she's been in all the classes as well too. Celebrate things. When you get done with a really hard unit, celebrate. When kids have to give conferences, celebrate. Send students quick little emails when it's their birthday. Include a funny Bitmoji. They love things like that. Put Post-it notes up so that you each know and the kids realize you know about them and you care about them. It's something simple, but it really helps. And in turn, they'll celebrate you too. That's awesome. Next up. All right, so here's a couple more pictures. These are pictures from my Unified Science class in spring of 2020. This is kind of when the world was starting to slow down a little bit. What I want you to see in the classroom, notice I've moved classrooms again. You see a lot of organization. You see that I communicate to my students what we are learning that day in the same place every day. You see chart paper that actually has student work on it. My students love to use the big giant Post-it notes and put their work on it so they can see each other and communicate with me. Also, you'll see here's Big Jacob again. There's Dolan. We've talked about him. One of the really awesome things is that when you interact with your students and you teach your students on their level, like you see me over here, then they really connect with you and you can grow and help others in the same way. And they're forming relationships with each other just by how they're talking and interacting. I'd love to talk more about my Unified Science class sometime, so hopefully they'll invite me back and I can do a little talk about that. It's a great class for students that have special needs, and I combine regular education students like my teacher cadets with these special needs students. The teacher cadets also get internship credit for working with my students, and it's a wonderful experience for real world interactions. So here's some pictures here. Notice that people are passing their knowledge on to others. That's another great way to build relationships, when students rely on each other to teach each other and learn. But one of the best ways to build relationships is to do something that we call circling up. At the beginning of every class, we take about 5 minutes and we physically make a circle. We stand up and make a circle in the class, and I bring a question to the circle, or students ask questions for the circle. And this way, it could be anything from what is your favorite snack food to what are you looking forward to most this weekend. And we also talk about really important things. So let's say that there was an incident at school the day before, and before I can even start talking, I hear the kids talking about it. So what do we need to do? We address it head on. We talk about it in very civil, small tones, and we get it out of our system. We ask questions, I give them answers, and then we can dig into the importance of learning that day. All right. Go again. Come on, let's go. There we go. You celebrate with them after school. I'm going to run through these. Here's a celebration of excellence. You get to meet their families. You get to go to their sporting events. You get to go to their arts presentations, the theater. It takes a little bit of after school time, but it's worth it. I love seeing my students do what they love. And then COVID hit. Notice coffee, notice blue light glasses, notice multiple screens all the time. There's lots of different ways that we can combat not being in the classroom with each other. And you've probably used a lot of these in your classes. You need to use things like Zoom, Google Meet, FaceTime, Screencastify. But the most important thing you need to do, keep it simple. Keep the labels the same and stay organized. And if you're missing kids, hunt them down. Use that phone, use those emails, talk to people that know them. All right, so real quick, I know I'm out of time, but I'm going to try to get this done in a minute or so. This was my State Teacher of the Year gala. This was when they announced the State Teacher of the Year. And I want you to notice these students. These are a lot of our students that we've talked about before. And I want you to know that they have already graduated. We missed their graduation because of COVID. We missed our senior trip because of COVID. All right. But when I sent out a group text to them and told them that we were having this gala and to see if they wanted to come and join us, then they came out in spades. These students paid for a ticket, they dressed up, and we all got together. This was the first time I had seen all of these students since March of 20, when class just suddenly ended. You'll see Big Jacob, you'll see Dolan, Patricia, Jesus, Aaron. You'll see all of these students, and it was meant so much to me for them to come out that night and celebrate. All right, here we are again. These were the last few weeks. These kids came back to see me. I went up to see them. This was a super fun time. So when you build relationships with your students, nothing can replace, oops, sorry, your teacher learning how to use technology. That. So real quick, here's some advice from my students. You could make this list too. Have a sense of humor. Don't be old. How do you face not getting old? Well, watch the Emmys, read People magazine, stay up to date on the type of music they listen to. So here's lots of good things to help you stay connected to your students. And lastly, always keep in mind what we have all lived through with COVID. School can end at any time, but relationships last forever. When you get to a point of planning your lessons, please just remember this. If you had one more day with your favorite students, your favorite teacher, in your favorite class, what would you do with them on that one day? I can guarantee it wouldn't be a worksheet. I can guarantee it wouldn't be showing a video. So keep that in mind as you plan your lessons, and you will always be an effective teacher. Thank you. Oh, real quick, suggested readings and videos. I forgot to put this in here. There's this wonderful video, Move Your Bus by Ron Clark. It's a really quick, maybe 10-minute video on YouTube. It's fantastic. The book is great. And as you move in, what I call the Teacher's Bible is The First Days of School. It's an oldie but a goodie by Harry and Rosemary Wong. So if you need anything to move your learning forward, I highly suggest those. All right, so I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to kick it back over to Miss Panton.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stroud. In the chat, or does anybody want to unmute and ask her a couple questions? We have about 3 minutes before our teaching fellows hop on. So this would be a great time for you guys to ask her about her experience or anything, just a reflection.
Please, anybody.
You can chat or you can unmute.
I know it's hard because y'all don't know each other. We haven't built relationships together, so it is difficult to take the brave step and hear your voice. So just make sure that you work on relationships and keep that at the center.
What's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is the students. I love getting to know them and watch them grow. So I love meeting them when they're freshmen and sophomores, and then following them as they move through high school, but also helping them figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their lives, like trying to combine their interests to give them a career that they love. But I just love the relationships with the kids and just talking with them and being there for them and all those great things. Great question.
Can we do one more question or just a reflection, something that maybe you resonated with?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the hardest curriculum you have taught?
The hardest curriculum I've had to teach?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay. I taught AP Physics, and AP Physics is a beast. But what I did is I was extremely transparent with my students about how difficult it was. And we broke it down into little manageable sections, and we just always stayed positive. we made sure that the main things that they needed to learn was not necessarily the physics, but is it what do you do when you don't know something? Because a lot of students already know everything that's going to be in a class. They've learned basic stuff, but how do you learn? Do you best learn working in a group? Do you learn reading out of a textbook? Do you learn by going on YouTube and watching videos? Do you learn by lots of different modalities and ways to learn, but helping students figure out how they learn when they don't know something, and to never, ever give up, and to keep the attitude, oh, you can do this and we've got this. So great question.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Stroud. I really resonate. Like, I was trying not to cry. I was like, this is beautiful. I just loved that. I knew from the very beginning you were going to walk us through with those little babies, but I'm so happy that they were able to celebrate you in May, and that you've been able to celebrate them as they continue their college journey. I know that there's a lot of teachers and teacher cadets in this room right now who have similar relationships, and so I'm sure that they felt that as well. And I just loved how you showed evidence. So thank you so much for
You're welcome.
bringing the evidence to support the claim. And it's been an honor to have you this morning.
Thank you so much. Anytime, y'all just shout out. I'll be happy to help. I put my email in there. I would love to hear from everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so on that note, we are going to pass it over to the renowned Dr. Fuller, and her teaching fellows are here. And so we're going to get to hear from the teaching fellows and from Call Me Misters. You guys are going to have the opportunity to kind of really hear about what is it like to be at Winthrop University and studying education.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, Ms. Panton. Good to see everyone. Hope you all are doing well. We are really excited to be with you this morning, just to have a little brief conversation, tell you a little bit about our programs and our experiences, and take any questions that you have. If you could help us, I think almost all of my students are on. If you all could come off of mute, and this is for all of the cadets, and let's see, you're in your classrooms. I don't know how loud you can get in your classrooms, but if you could come off and as loud as you can be, represent your schools. Let us know who's here with us. So I'm going to count to 3, and I'll wait for all the mutes to start coming off. And then I want you just to represent, don't get in trouble with your teachers, so you all know how loud you can get, okay? So I see mutes coming off, so you're just gonna represent however you feel like you want us to know who's here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Thank you very much. I think you all were able to wake up a little bit with that one. I appreciate you with that. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction of myself and our programs, and then I'm going to let you all hear from the ones that I know you really want to hear from. So my name is Dr. Sherelle Fuller, and I am Director of the Teaching Fellows Program at Winthrop, and I'm an assistant professor in the Education Core Department. And here today, we have a few representatives from the Teaching Fellows Program and from our Call Me Mr. program. I think I see Mr. Pinckney is on here, so he may have given a little information about the Teaching Fellows Program, and that is something that you probably hear a little bit more about from your teachers. And I know we have some representation out there in the field with Teaching Fellows, so I'm really excited for that. Call Me Mr. is a program that is based and housed out of Clemson University, and the mission is to recruit more African-American males into education, and we are really proud. I think you'll have to, guys, correct me. I think we're in our 5th or 6th year of having the program at Winthrop. I remember when the program began, and I'm really excited to see the growth and really excited that everyone is able to be with you today. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to step aside to facilitator mode, and I'm going to ask my students to introduce themselves. And I'm scrolling through. As I look through the screen here, I think we have representation from our senior class. I see junior representation. I don't see a sophomore yet. And then we have freshmen, the brand newbies who can tell you exactly what it was like because they were right where you are not too long ago. And so I'm going to have first each of them go around and let you know, fellas and misters, this is what you're going to be doing, what your name is, where you're from, what your major is, okay? Your name, where you're from, and what your major is, and which program that you're in. And then we'll come back and get into the programs, into the questions. So I'm going to start with our big time seniors. Let me find you on here. I'll start with Will and then Quest.
Hey everybody, my name is Will Douglas. I am from Chesterfield, South Carolina. I'm a part of the Teaching Fellows organization, and I am a biology major.
Hi guys, so my name is Quest Morris. I am from Hopkins, South Carolina. I am a fall 2017 initiate of Call Me Mister, and I am an educational studies and community-based learning major.
You. And now to our juniors. They're ever so close, touching their toes in there on the almost being finished. So I see on my screen first Bobby, then Courtney, then Miguel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bobby Matchers. I am from Greenville, South Carolina. I am an elementary education major, followed by being a fall 19th initiate of the Call Me Mr. program here at Winthrop.
Hey, I'm Courtney Robertson. I'm an elementary education major and I'm from Greenwood, South Carolina.
Hey y'all, my name is Miguel Caldwell and I am from Camden, South Carolina. I am a junior elementary education major and I am a fall 19 initiate of the Call Me Mr. program.
Thank you very much. And let me scroll my screen here. I see Desiree, Megan, and Tiana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Desiree. I major in elementary education. I'm from Bamberg, South Carolina, and I'm a 2021 Teacher Fellow.
Hey everybody, my name is Megan. I'm a middle level education major with a concentration in English language arts, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm going to be a middle school English teacher, and I'm from Greenville, South Carolina.
Hello, my name is Tiana Mukendi. I am a early childhood education major, and I'm from Irmo, South Carolina, and I'm a teaching fellow.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Scroll through, make sure I didn't miss anyone. Okay, so we're going to jump into some questions. You know, sometimes on this panel, everyone, we talk about, you know, teaching methods. Sometimes we'll talk about, you know, a teaching philosophy or methods. Unfortunately, I heard mentioned, you know, we all know that we have been in this COVID thing now since March 2020. And later on, I'll have some of our juniors and maybe even, yes, a couple of the seniors can speak to what it's like to be out in the field. But unfortunately, we have not had a chance to get many of our students out there to be practicing some of these things. Hopefully that's beginning to change and we'll be able to do a little bit more. So but right now we're going to start with, and I'm going to let you all jump in. I'm not going to call on any individual person, but if you could share with the group what you feel is the biggest difference between high school and college. In your opinion, what is the biggest difference between high school and college?
Oh, I'll go. So I feel like the biggest difference is definitely, sorry, I got a lot of background noise behind me, but the biggest difference is definitely time management. Because in high school, you really have everything structured for you. You wake up, you go to this class, and you spend all day there. But you have a lot more autonomy when it comes to your college experience. You get to choose your classes when you take your classes, all that stuff. And I'm telling you right now, waking up for 8 a.m. in college is not the same thing as waking up for high school. You're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I did that in high school. But I'll tell you, when you are struggling to crawl out of bed at 8 a.m. in the morning, I promise you it's not the same thing. It hits really different. But, you know, just making sure that you're keeping a consistent schedule and that you also include time for self-care within all of this, because this becomes your life. Like, this becomes your experience for the next 4+ years that you spend at a 4-year institution, of course. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, and to add on to that, right, when it comes to time management and things like that, you know, depending on if you have field placement or not, you might not even be in class as much in college as you were in high school, right? Like you go to high school and you're there, you know, unless you get out early for 8 hours a day. But in college, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have one class and that's it. I go on from 3:30 to 5 o'clock and I'm done, right? But I'm still way busier than I ever was, right? And so you have a lot more free time. But going on what Quest was saying about that autonomy that comes with that, you have to make yourself do the work. Even though you're like, oh, I've got 12 hours today to do whatever I want to. It's like, well, you got to make yourself work for like maybe 4 of those, that kind of stuff. There's a lot more personal responsibility.
Anyone else? I always, as a faculty member, I always share with students, there's so much freedom that comes with being a college student. But that freedom can always be can also be detrimental, because you're thinking, wow, so much free time. I can do whatever I want. And unfortunately, I think we're all family now. I can say that sometimes people make decisions and forget that the primary purpose is, you know, your academics and to actually graduate. But we do encourage you to get involved. We encourage you not just to focus on academics, because I am a believer, in many of my colleagues, and I believe these students too, that so much learning that you get in college happens outside of the classroom as well as inside. So that balancing, you know, it may sound like, oh, this is great, but it can be quite challenging, and it shocks a lot of people. That freedom that so many have wished for, sometimes it's like, oh, I wish I had somebody to tell me what to do. Oh, I wish I had. I'm a little bit older and I still sometimes say, I wish I had somebody to tell me what to do and how to plan this. Anybody else want to address the biggest difference? Any of our freshmen where this is brand new for you? You're almost halfway through.
I think for me, the biggest thing is that the size of the assignments correlates with when the professors schedule them or schedule the due dates. So I'm taking a lot of English classes because I'm an English concentration. So I have to write a lot of papers. And in high school, you're used to usually writing like a 4-page paper. My papers are 6 pages minimum. And I am very much a sit down and get it done in one sitting kind of person. But you can't write a 6-page paper and have it be really good and you've edited it and you've reread it and made sure there's no grammar mistakes in one sitting. Okay. And these professors are scheduling these due dates and assigning them in a month in advance. So I think the biggest struggle for me is working on the essay throughout the month instead of getting it done like the day before. Not that I procrastinate, but I think that I struggle with working through it periodically throughout the month instead of doing it the week before or the day before.
I'd like to add on something that's not so much like an academic thing, but just like something that I found about the differences between high school and college. I just feel like everybody in college is so friendly, especially like freshmen. Like the first week that we all arrived to Winthrop, everybody was so eager to just make friends with everybody and like get their cliques, whatever they're called, all like figured out. So don't be afraid to just like, if you see somebody talking about something on campus, don't be afraid to just be like, bro, I love your hair. Like, give me your snap or something like that. Like everybody wants to have friends on campus. So nobody's mean here. Like, not specifically. They're not trying to be mean. They just want to have friends like everybody else. So I feel like that's the biggest difference between high school and college. Everybody's so friendly here.
And building community, so important. Well, let me ask, this is a good transition into why did you all choose Winthrop University as the place where you wanted to spend these important times? Why Winthrop?
For me personally, it was because my big sister went here and she seemed like she really enjoyed going to Winthrop. And then also it's like a big education school. So that was like the first choice for me.
I know for me, it was definitely the education program for sure here. And then also the small like class size, because I just knew that I couldn't go to class in an auditorium with like 300 plus people. Like that would have drove me insane. So just having this really like, you kind of get the feel of a big campus, but it's so small. And then like the amount of community that we've established here at Winthrop is amazing. Like there's not a lot of people on campus that I can say that I don't know, which I really, really love. It's kind of like coming from my small town and having those small town values, but here where you still get that big university feel. So that was for me. And then of course, getting accepted to call me Mr. here was a big deal for me as well. So that's why I went through for me.
For me, I'd say the education program provided a lot more opportunity here, but also I have to agree, Winthrop does have this homey feel that I feel like you cannot get at a bigger college. So like when you're walking down Scholars Walk at Winthrop or just, through Rock Hill, you always find someone that, you have likes with, and you always find someone that you can get along with. There's just like a big community feel, and yeah.
For me, it was the idea that I could go for elementary education, but also get educated in early childhood, because I feel like a lot of universities don't do that. And it kind of not sets you back, but it limits your options for what you can do after you graduate. So I'll be certified K-6. And that's just really beneficial as going into the schools and like learning how that works and just getting yourself out there and figuring out where you want to teach. You have much more options because you went to Winthrop.
Anyone else?
I will definitely say it was that homey feeling. At first, I wasn't coming to Winthrop for education, but when I got here and I got to tour the campus, you get to see like a lot of the nice faces, like Tiana was saying, and it was just a cool experience and it really felt like home. I come from a relatively big town, so it was a little bit different, but getting here and getting those small class sizes kind of reminded me of like that high school feeling. A lot of the professors are very, like you can go to them for anything that you need and they are willing to help. It was the willingness. I actually met a professor in like the biology partner on my tour, and it was just like the coolest conversation ever. I felt like I was in class and like ready to class. I was ready to come back the next day actually, but it definitely gives that feeling of home, and I absolutely love it for that.
Thank you so much. And before we move on, I want to have our sophomore representative, Kai, to introduce himself. Kai, if you would just let people know what your major is and where you're from, and then we'll keep pushing forward with you.
Hello, my name's Kai. Unfortunately, my camera is not working, so you can't really see me. I've been trying to get it fixed, but anyways, I'm from Columbia and my major is mathematics, kind of weird, but then my minor is secondary education, so I'll be a high school math teacher and everything. And one thing I decided on whenever I chose Winthrop was it was just really a prestigious education school, and then I kind of last minute decided I want to be a teacher. And whenever looking through everything and getting a lot of teacher recommendations, I was just like, whoa, Winthrop was this amazing school that I could go to. And once I got accepted, I was really excited, and then teaching fellows and everything. And they've provided so much for me. And it's just a really amazing experience that everybody should have.
Great. Thank you so much, Kai. I'm going to pivot a little bit. I want to ask my students, some of you mentioned things about balancing time, and we talked about outside of the classroom. Can you talk a little bit about opportunities for extracurriculars? I know, in high school, sometimes there are not things that are open to everybody. It's kind of smaller selective groups who get to participate in certain things and maybe not as many options. Can some of you talk about your involvement and the types of extracurricular activities that are offered and that you participate in on campus?
I know that Winthrop specifically has so much for you to do, over 160 clubs and organizations for you to be a part of. Anything that you're interested, you can practically find here. Archery, if you like Harry Potter, I'm Slytherin, we in here. If you like racquetball, we have really anything. We have a Disney club, so like anything that you're interested in, you have the opportunity to get that experience in that community. And also leadership opportunities. I've been everything under the sun here. I was an orientation. I'm currently an RA. I've been on many diversity committees, working with admissions, all that great stuff. And you have the opportunity to really expand yourself and figure out what it means to be a student leader here. And of course, that comes with scheduling that time in opposite from your academics, because obviously that's the reason that you're here. So making sure you have that good time management, but also, like Dr. Fuller said, like there's so many opportunities here for you to expand yourself at Winthrop specifically.
And I let some of the others speak, because I know Quest so well, and I know he won't mind me calling him out here. One of the perks, I think, to being at Winthrop, and they all mentioned, kind of the connection and community, but professors have, you can develop really good relationships with professors. And in those first couple of years when Quest was getting involved in a lot of stuff, I would sometimes pull his coattail and say, okay, enough. No more. You can't do anything else. I know you're excited. And so I think one of the perks is being able to build relationships with mentors and those people who really are concerned with your well-being and with you as a person. I really enjoy getting to know as much as students want me to know. I'm not going to pry, but I enjoy being able to talk with them about things even outside of education. And so I think that's a perk of being at a smaller institution where you're able to connect a little bit more. So that's what I just wanted to add, that little part, because I had to pull his coattail a bit, but he was able to balance that time and become the great student leader that he is. Anyone else share something about extracurriculars?
I can go on that. Definitely, like Dr. Fuller said, with making sure that you're balancing, because I will say, like Quest said, there are a lot of organizations here and there are a lot of different things that you can get involved with, that you can get new experiences with. Like for me, I remember signing up for skydiving club. I punked out, but I did sign up because there's just so much here to do. And then it's almost like this inner pressure to just want to do things because like it's here and like it's all these new experiences that we didn't have this at my high school. So there is a pressure to do it, but just make sure you remember your why, what you're actually here for first, and then everything else kind of has to be built around that. Because I know for me, I've gotten to that place where it was just like, okay, hold on, chill out. You're doing a little too much. Because like right now, I'm currently the student body vice president. So I serve on our student government here. I'm an RA in a mostly freshman hall, which can be a lot of work because freshmen are new. And they're trying to figure things out. You're trying to help them figure those things out. And then I'm also a close scholar here, which is a volunteer organization. So there's a lot to get involved with for sure, but I would just make sure that you stay true to why you're here and then make sure that everything else kind of builds around that, because there definitely is a pressure to want to do those things because you're just like, yeah, I got to get my hand on that. But just make sure you prioritize what you're here for first, and those other things will fall into place and you'll find time. You'll find time.
And you guys, what you haven't heard yet is even with that almost, I mean, we're getting close to 200 organizations. If there's something here that you want that you don't see, you can start your own organization. So there's, again, the opportunities for leadership and for starting things at the ground level and really making a mark that will stay at Winthrop after you're gone. So I think that's a plus as well. Anyone else want to speak to extracurriculars? And in that, I'll add another little piece if anyone wants to connect with that. And the importance of community service or volunteering as an extracurricular, because that can also be a part of this.
I'll say in high school, I was really involved in like Beta Club and National Honor Society, and there was like a big push on community service hours. When you get to college, involvement is a lot different than it is in high school. Like I played sports, I had a job, I was involved in a bunch of clubs and organizations, and in college, I think I'm in like 2 or 3 things, but it's like what you put your time into. Greek life was something that I said that I would never do, and I did it, but there's also like an emphasis on community service and putting yourself out there and helping, like a philanthropy or helping a community. So that's how I'm giving back personally, and I build time in my college life by doing it through more organization.
I'd say that during COVID and everything, it's been really amazing how we've still had these interactions, because even with clubs not being able to meet as much, they still have these Zoom meetings that we could go to and interact with one another. And then cultural events are something that we do around here. It's to interact more, let us understand the world a bit more. And so we get to hear these speakers and they talk about these amazing things. And then we just get to interact through that. And then you meet new people from that, and then you get connections and everything. And then one more thing that I kind of noticed whenever coming here is like, don't be pressured by the fact that this is like a D1 school for some sports. If you want to do that, even if you don't feel like you're good enough, there's probably some intramural that you could do. There's always a track if you want to run on. If you don't think you're fast enough, you just still go there and run for fun. I know I do that. It's like, I know I'm definitely not fast enough to be on the track team here.
Thank you for that, Kai. I think that's an important note that, understanding that even if you're not on the primary sports team, if we're going to just use sports, there are so many opportunities for you to still connect and be able to transfer some of that experience that you have. I have one more question that I'm going to ask the students, and Kai, you kind of gave me a good lead into that. For our teacher cadets, if you would begin thinking about any questions that you have for these students. After we finish this last one, I'm going to open it up for you. Any kind of questions you have about college life. I know I didn't address this, but we sometimes have people ask about housing. We have people ask about the social life of college. And so any questions that you have, go ahead and get those in your head. And then I'll ask this last question, and I'm going to kind of bounce off from what Kai said. For the freshmen in the group, and you all are coming into and I'm doing normal in quotes because we're not fully back to what Quest and Will experienced a few years ago pre-COVID, and what Miguel and Bobby and Courtney got to experience before. So they've had a taste of what like the old normal is. But can you talk a little bit about what the transition has been, how the transition has been in this COVID world? And I kind of zoomed in on the freshmen and sophomores on this because this is your first real experience in a while. You know, we're moving into 2 years of this. And so kind of talk about how COVID has affected your move into college and how you've adapted to that. And I mentioned the freshmen and sophomores. I'd like to start with them, but I also want to hear from the juniors and seniors who've had a little taste of pre-COVID college where this hasn't been your entire experience. So how has the transition been? How have you been able to balance that and thrive? Hopefully you're thriving.
Um, I can I can go on that one. Mine is kind of slightly an unpopular answer a bit because I'm don't when I say I'm grateful for COVID, not like that. But I will say that this experience has taught me to be a lot more intentional with things. Because before COVID, it was easy to go out and just socially interact with people. It was easy to just make friends. It was easy to go, in these crowds and feel safe. And like now, that's not necessarily the case. So learning how to let people know that I'm friendly behind a mask, because like for me, it was always like a smile, a nice little head nod. However, with this mask on, you can't really see that. So I've definitely learned how to be a lot more intentional. I've learned how to be more appreciative of the moments that I do get because it's wild. It's wild. And it's changed so much because I remember before COVID, like I said, there were so many events that, were happening on campus and like people, even in like res halls would just like crowd together and talk. And it's things like that that you kind of have to be a little uneasy about now and you kind of don't really, feel safe, even though like Dr. Ford said, normal, it's not really normal because that uneasy feeling is kind of still, lingering around because, we don't want that cough at all. So, with that, I've had to learn how to, make experiences like this intentional so that when I'm on Zoom, make sure I'm giving 100% of myself there. That's why I like to Zoom from my phone because I feel like when I Zoom from my computer, I'm kind of tempted to be on my computer, but like, still like sending this message here on my phone. So I like to just put it up there so I can't even touch it. Just to be more intentional, to be more present in situations like that. When I do get to speak to people, I wave so hard now, like my grandmama used to do. Like I was never a waver before. It was just a smile, hey, how you doing? But now I'm like, just how my grandma used to be because like I really just want people to know like, hey, I'm being intentional about even speaking to you. So in everything that I do now, I have to be more intentional. And that's something that I probably would have never learned if it hadn't been for COVID.
At the country wave, like you're on the porch. Megan.
For me, COVID has really emphasized the importance of communication, especially with your teachers and professors, because we all know that we went through a really long time of being virtual and having virtual class. And here when we're somewhat back to normal, I only have one online class. And every now and then a professor will be like, just let's meet over Zoom. So I think like the thing to remember is that your teachers and your professors are here to help you. If you have an issue, just shoot them an email. Like, don't struggle with what you're trying to learn on your own. Okay. Just because you're not meeting your professor face to face doesn't mean that you can't talk to them. So just always remember that they're here to help you. They want to help you. I think the few times that I've reached out to a professor, they've always responded with like exclamation points in their emails. Like they get so excited when you talk to them. Okay. So just remember to communicate, especially if you have an issue.
So I had the fortune of attending college pre-COVID. So I was a junior when COVID happened, when that whole outbreak happened. And so like I had already been at Winthrop for a good period of time now. But honestly, truly, like Miguel, I'm kind of thankful for the pandemic in a way because it's made me a lot more reflective and a lot more empathetic to people and their struggles. And I had never focused so much on mental health prior to COVID than I do now. And it really puts everything into perspective because pre-COVID, I was ripping, running, doing everything with everybody and their grandmama, right? And I never really focused on the importance of sitting down with myself, having these difficult conversations, going to therapy, all that other stuff, because that is so important to maintain this kind of homeostasis about yourself. And I think that's incredibly important, a incredibly important skill to have in college just in general. And it's made me a lot more understanding of people and their struggles that they've been going through. I think this pandemic has highlighted that everybody has just been brought through the ringer when it comes to different things. And the professors are very responsive to that. I know that having a conversation with them and you find out that, you're not alone in your struggles. Your professors are going through the same thing. Your friends are going through the same thing. We're all united under this common struggle that is COVID, but there's so much community that has come out of that. And you find friends in the most unlikely places now. And I'm more connected because of COVID, which is really crazy to me now. and I started to build these relationships with my colleagues. And it's been honestly a blessing in disguise, even though I wish it wasn't a thing, but I'm thankful that this has happened to me in the way that it did.
And I can definitely attest to that as well. I think the thing that COVID taught me the most is how to effectively plan. Because when COVID happened, everything kind of shut down, so we weren't able to be at school when it hit. It was my second semester of being here, so it was just kind of like, oh, what do I do? So you get your planner, you start writing stuff down. And like now, after COVID, I'm like a lot better with my academics. I'm actually doing fairly well in my academics. But using the planner has like really helped. I plan everything from sitting down with friends to my facial every 2 weeks, to what time I have to go to class, to making sure, and it really helps you to be on time to those things, because you don't have nobody like jumping on your throat, hey, you got to be in class, or the bell isn't going to ring in your residence hall when it's time for you to go to class. So it really taught me to effectively plan.
Anyone else want to speak to the COVID experience?
Yeah. During like the height of COVID, especially because for me, it was during my sophomore spring. That first semester, I was like, this is okay. I was scared, but I was like, this is fine. I'll just do some online classes. This is no big deal. And then junior year, going through 2 physics classes online was not fun. And then going through organic chem online was not fun, and anatomy and so like the classes online that I was taking was awful. And the worst part of it was that prior to that, I was able to go and talk to my professors one-on-one, like during the class. If I had a question during the class, I could ask them right then and there. But online, it's like, oh, I got to send them an email, and then they gotta read it, and they have to respond, and that could take like an hour. And at that point, I've moved on to something else, right? And then on top of that, I got so I took for granted just being able to just go hang out with friends and just being able to go to events just to do it. And then all of a sudden, when that wasn't presented to me anymore, I got so bored. It was awful, like just mind-numbingly bored. And so coming out of it, it's a concerted effort for me to like actually go and be like, no, I'm going to speak to this person today. Like I haven't spoken to them in 2 weeks. By God, I'm going to talk to them. And it's kind of nice. It's a little bit of a personality shift, like everybody's been saying. It's pretty good.
Thank you all for that. I want to just tag on something that Tiana mentioned, how she talked about the community of how accepting people are. And I will say, as a faculty member on the outside looking in at the students, I haven't always seen it that way. And I believe, just as some of you all do, that people are so happy to be back around people again, that it has a heightened version. I think Winthrop has always been a very student-centered place, where you can definitely get involved. And so I'm not saying that it used to be horrible, but I have seen a shift in that, especially, for the freshman and sophomore class in particular, you hadn't been around groups of people for almost, a year and a half. And so as an instructor, I'm finding that people are just like, oh my gosh, it's real people again. Like I am engaged. Will something, almost like you said, it's like, oh, I see a person, let me speak kind of thing. And though, again, I still sometimes I can walk by somebody because I haven't gotten used to seeing their whole face yet. I'm like, here up. It's still just this feeling of, I'm around people again, even though it's not what it used to be, knowing what isolation, as for me, an extrovert, who lives alone and, was really, it was just like, oh my gosh, students can stick their head in my office again. And so I really see what you have been seeing, Tiana, what you mentioned has really been heightened after this, because people are just like, I'm around living people again. So it really is, it's something that's really interesting to see, and to see some of the things that the students have mentioned, the intentionality of just making sure that we take advantage of every moment. So thank you all. Thank you all for that. And, you know, we all keep doing this. I think what we all are waiting for at this point is to see what, and I had said for a while, I hated this phrase, but it really is trying to figure out what the new normal will be, because I don't think we'll ever go back to everything that it was, but let's just try to figure out how we're going to maintain and work through this new normal. Okay, so let me hear from some of our cadets. Do you all have any questions for any of our people on the panel? I think I see a hand there, so you can come on off mute.
Hi, my name is Waverly. I just had a question for the Hey Mr. participants. What are some struggles that you faced as future Black male educators?
You got all day. I'm just kidding. It definitely has been a struggle for sure, because we are entering into a field that not a lot of us are in. So it's definitely, even like, you know, going out into the field, a lot of students are not used to seeing people that look like us, especially coming in. I know for me, I've had some wild experiences, because I actually do an internship with the Call Me Mr. program, which is a really great feature that the program offers, where you get to do a summer internship where you're teaching for about 4 weeks up in Pickens, South Carolina. And so I know there it's a very conservative area. And so I had a student pour chocolate milk out in front of me and tell my other students that Mr. Caldwell's bleeding. So like, there's, you know, those little moments that happen, and you really, 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 really have to know your why and be ready to stick with it. Because like in that moment when that happens, you know, in my natural state, I'm like, hold on. But you really have to remember, you know, in this situation, I'm the educator. And you're not just the educator when you're standing in front of the board. You're the educator at all times. So I had to take that moment and say, how can I take this and pivot this into a teachable moment for this student? So we sat down and we had the whole conversation about both of us bleeding red. And, you know, by the end of my time there, this same student came to me on my last day and said, Mr. Caldwell, he calls me over. He's like, I've never had a Black teacher, but I like Black teachers. And so like, for me, it was like, what I was here to do, I accomplished, because if I can just change one kid and, you know, represent that new normal for them, that's what I want to do. And then too, you know, like working with my coworkers during that time too, it was difficult, because they had never worked with someone who looked like me. So there were a lot of things that they didn't know, you know, how do I address this? How do I go about this? So there are, you know, a lot of microaggressions that come with being an African-American male going into education, that you just have to really stick to your why, and just know that in all aspects of your life, you are there to be an educator. And that's what you have to do, because representing a new normal is not easy at all. But if this is really something that you're interested in, that you want to do, and you have a solid mission in, I feel like you will learn to make those educational moments and really make it work.
And I can go kind of off the back of that. It can be kind of a very empowering experience too. I know I'm in internship now. I'm part of internship, my junior internship rather. And when you go into the schools, it's automatically like, oh my God, hey, how are you? And then like to the side, it's like, oh my God, we need you. So it's kind of like a really good, something that empowers you. I also had a student, at first he was kind of like standoffish with me, but I realized after him seeing a male, he just kind of started to navigate towards me. He would ask me like kind of like little questions to try to like figure me out. But it has been a very empowering experience, especially being in the schools and working with these students. A lot of times they navigate towards you. And then to being that advocate for others that look like you as well. That's one of my favorite things to do, especially in my school now, because a lot of times you walk down the hall and it's like, oh, he got on like sneakers just like me. So being able to do that, the students love to see it, and they interact with you well.
Yes to all that. Yes, like tattoo that on my body, inject that in my veins. Like I could attest to all of that. When you walk into the schools, I remember there was this one internship I went to my sophomore year. I was the second male in the school that was in a teaching position, and the only Black one at that. So you walk into these schools and you're like automatically a celebrity. Like they have not seen people like you before. But because of that, that comes with a lot, on itself, because, is this perception that you have to kind of work twice as hard to kind of get like just the same amount of respect. But also on the flip side of that, these kids, they are so empowered when they see you, especially if they look like you. And I remember there was this very unique experience I had when I was in Chester, of these students just coming to me and saying, we just really appreciate you being here. Like, we really think you're fun. And like, we haven't had a teacher that looks like you before. And we just love that. And it's those moments where you're working so hard that makes it all worth it. And, I can attest that, you will, like Miguel said, run into these situations where you do experience these microaggressions. But at the end of the day, you have to remember why you're there, and you'll see the impact of your presence immediately. So always keeping that in mind when you're going through and you're navigating this whole educational landscape.
Thank you all for that. Really quickly before the next question, I just want to show you a quick chart just to kind of piggyback. I hope you can see that. Hold on, let me switch my screen around. I'm working with two screens here. Okay, so this is some data on, in general, male teachers. So this is from 2019. And if you look at, they have it broken down into childcare, teacher assistants, preschool, kindergarten, elementary, middle. And so you can see total numbers and you can see percentages here. In the United States, we have higher numbers of men who are secondary teachers, but not as many who are in the early years. That's where the big lack is. And so then if you begin to look within the group, so when we talk about gender parity, education is one of those fields where all men are underrepresented. And then once you start getting into racial and ethnic, you'll see that there is even a larger split. So we are, this is a very, and we use this term sometimes, feminized field. And so some of the challenges of being a man in education and kind of adapting are there, but there is such a need. And so I wanted to just put this chart up to show you, of course, nothing against women who are teachers, because of course we need you, but for many reasons, we want to make sure that we are continuing to recruit because we want our classrooms, our teachers and our staff to look like the students who are in the classroom. And that's not just with race and ethnicity, but also gender and language and religious. I know you might think, oh, religion in schools, but we wanted people to be able to see that there's not just one type of person who goes into education. So I just wanted to share this with you to show that I am very pleased that in this group here, we are going in, speaking to you today, that we are kind of going against the grain and really trying to improve these numbers in our classroom settings. So any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
My name's Will, and I'm in 12th grade. So is college like your reputation like better than high school? Because if you have like a bad reputation in high school, like will people like judge you in college and stuff? Like, are the people like more like real and stuff, like care about like their work?
I would say for that, when you come here, you kind of get a fresh start, which is a really cool thing about college, because you get to choose the path that you'll take. Now, that's not to say that, it's not easy to, build a reputation and then, have that, because I've seen it happen to people as well. However, most of the time in my experience, when you come here, what you did in high school, nobody really cares. Like even the good things, most times it's just like, in college it's that time to get that new experience and to really start to build the person that you'll be for the rest of your life. So as far as like bringing reputation from high school, I'm not seeing that a whole lot, but you do have the opportunity to create who it is that you want to be and the person that you'll be for the duration of your life. And in that, there still comes, the possibility of, building a good reputation or a bad reputation in college, but definitely not sprouting from who you are in high school, I would say, for me.
I'll say, and I'll retweet what he said, because like that is great, because like you have the unique opportunity to really create your entire experience of what you want your life to be, right? I came here probably about with like 4 people from my high school, and even they didn't really know much about me. So it was kind of, I was like, I have this opportunity to mold myself into the person that I always wanted to be, choose my friends, you know, pick the things that I want to do, that I'm interested in, because like we said earlier, you have that autonomy, you have the ability to do that in this environment. And so what you did in high school, like you said, it really doesn't like matter. Of course, the skills that you've gained and the friends that you've made are important to you, but like this is a very unique environment, especially going to school like Winthrop specifically, very liberal arts, you have the opportunity to really take a hold of your collegiate experience, and that's so great. So to your question, like you get here and you're able to create the person you want to be.
And some advice with that is to stay on campus as much as possible. My freshman year, I went home every weekend and I really didn't make any like connections until second semester. So if you want to build that like separate part of yourself, don't go home every weekend. Like it's okay to go home and see your family, obviously, but like at least for the first month, try to stay on campus and find things to get involved in, do different things, meet people, go out in your residence halls and meet the people that live next to you, meet the people that live on your hall, make those connections and really like build yourself up from there.
Let me just add to what Courtney said. I know, all of you all here are, mainly I'm looking around local to Winthrop. I don't think I have any on the panel right now, but we have lots of commuters at Winthrop. And so there is one particular student I'm thinking of from a few years ago that I had forgotten she was a commuter and lived right in Rock Hill because she was on campus so much. So there is, and we encourage that, there is a way to still be involved and still be connected if you don't live on campus. We have support for commuter students. Inevitably, you become friends with people in residence halls. And so even if you are coming to Winthrop as a local person and you're going to be staying at home, it's still very important to do what Courtney said and get connected on campus. Even though you may be going home every day to stay, you can still really get connected. And Quest just noted on here that we have a commuter club, and Will is a commuter. So you can speak to that. It's still, that connection piece there. Any other questions from the crowd? I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Anybody? Make sure we give everyone a chance. Well, thank you all for participating. As we get ready to close, for the misters and the fellows, I'm going to ask you in your, almost like your elevator speech, your 30 seconds or less, what is the one piece of advice you would give to these teacher cadets, some of whom we have, I think, 11th and 12th graders. And so what's one piece of advice you would give to them?
So I would say take your schoolwork seriously, take the relationships you build seriously, and take your time management and your responsibility seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. Be able to laugh when you make a mistake, because Lord knows you're going to make a ton, especially those first 2 years. You are going to mess up a lot. You're going to miss classes. You're going to flake out on people. You're going to be like, oh God, that assignment's due tonight. And that's okay. That is fine. You ain't the first person to do it, and you won't be the last. Have a little bit of humility about it, but just try and do the best that you can to, like I said, focus on the people and the stuff that matters first. And whenever you come up short, just take it on the chin and keep moving. It's okay. It ain't that serious. You'll be all right.
Yeah, to kind of add to that, also recognize that growth isn't linear. You don't go in a straight line in life, right? It doesn't go from point A to point B to point C. You might go to point A, then go to point B, back to point A, to point C, back to point A. So like recognize that that's just life. And you need to be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace, because this whole collegiate journey is a learning experience for you. You're going to relapse, you're going to have ups and downs, but be patient with yourself and be intentional about the things that you do. But like he said, don't take yourself too seriously, because you're going to experience a lot in this environment, but you're going to learn something every time. Every up and down, you're going to learn something.
Really learn how to like take a loss and go with it. You're not gonna have a good day every single day. I was a straight A student in high school, never made B's, made my first B in college, hurt. But after that, it was easier to say, it's okay to not be a 4.0 student. It's okay to make a mistake. Just cut your losses and move on. You can't sit there and fret about something that happened that was negative and let it ruin your entire semester. If you fail something, it's okay. Do better on the next one. Go to the office hours, talk to your advisor, talk to your professors, learn how to cut your losses and move on.
One thing that I really like to talk about is making sure to take time for yourself. I'm a freshman, and one thing that I'm noticing with a lot of my peers is that everyone is just throwing themselves into their work, and that's the only thing they do is schoolwork, schoolwork, schoolwork. And I really advocate for taking time for yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your education. If I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm going to be falling asleep in class, right? So they go together. If you want to do well in school, you have to be able to make sure that you're okay. All right. It's okay to take a 30-minute walk. Okay. You have to eat. All right. You have to sleep. It's okay to take that time for yourself.
Mine would just be 3 parts: be you, do you, for you, and everything. Like, always be 100% who you are. There's too much that the world has to offer for you to be trying to be like somebody else. Be you, for sure. Always show up as yourself. Then do you. If it makes you happy, do it. Do it if it makes you happy. And then the for you is just making sure that in everything that you do, that you're able to find some type of benefit in it for you, some type of good in it. Because when you get to, the end of your road and you look back, you want to make sure that you were able to get the most out of your experience. But if you did that experience with only considering other people and you never really put yourself first, you're going to realize that not putting yourself first caused you to come in last, and that's not you. So be you, do you, for you. That would be mine.
Well, for that. Teacher cadets, I don't know if that helped you, but that helped me. As they said, we are all going through this thing together. And so I want to really just thank all of my students, all of my fellows, and all of my misters for joining us today. And thank you, Ms. Panton, for always including us in this. This is one of the highlights for me. And I can't wait till we can be back face to face. So I will turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you so much. I love all of you. You know that the Teaching Fellow panel and Call Me Misters is one of my favorite parts of Teacher Cadet Day. It kills me that we are not together. We were so close this time. February of 2022, February 18th, please start getting it together so that we can all be together. For all of our teacher cadets who are joining us today, you are welcome to come to that day. So if you couldn't make it today and you want to come to Winthrop, even if you're going to a different institution, but you still want to kind of meet your Eagle family, we are here for you. I know that there's so many on this call today who have accepted and have gotten acceptance to Winthrop University as early Eagles. And so we're so proud of you. I know that a lot of you have applied already for teaching fellows. And so we can't wait to kind of see how that progresses as well. I am 100% here for Miguel starting a podcast. So if you want to work on that and you need some funding, please come at me, because I could listen to you all day.
You're already done. Miguel's Black Coffee.
Yes, I actually have a podcast. It's called Miguel's Black Coffee. You can get it anywhere.
Stop. Okay. That has been my favorite thing so far today. It's 10:04. I'm about to listen to that for the rest of the day. Before we do that, it is your favorite time of Teacher Cadet Day. I cannot believe you have a podcast. I was thinking that the whole time. Okay, it's a spirit check. All right, so Quest, I see also, I'm peeping that you're at work. Are you at work?
Come on. This is Quest's last one. He graduates in December.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm multitasking right now. I'm at work doing this, you know, that's just life right now. But
So let's
this
bring
is
it
my
home.
last
His
one.
last
I'm getting old. So but did
Okay,
you want me to lead it?
yeah, you're gonna read it. This is it. Like, you taught me how to do a spirit check. So everybody who's on the call, you have no idea how important this is. Okay, go ahead, Quest. Make it count because it's our last one.
Gosh, it's the end of an era, you guys. It's the last movie in the saga. Okay, so I need everybody to pay attention because it's going to be out of sync because it's online, but do your best to stay in sync. So every time if you come to Winthrop, you're going to notice this during orientation, and we do it. It's a proud Winthrop tradition. So somebody's going to yell spirit check. And so once they do that, you're going to start clapping. And here's the rhythm. It goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, Winthrop clap. Okay. And I'm going to run through that again for all my people who may not have as much rhythm, but it's okay. You ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, Winthrop clap. Okay, you got it? Or do I need to run through it one more time? One more? Okay, I got y'all. All right. So just remember the numbers. Okay? So I'm gonna yell spirit check, and we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, Winthrop clap. Okay, you got it? All right, we're gonna do one practice round and I'm gonna speed it up. So let's see if y'all can do it, okay? All right. Spirit check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, Winthrop clap. Y'all so good. Y'all look so good. Okay.
I love the sound too. Come off of mute if you can. Come off of mute.
Yes. All right. So this is gonna be our time. This is y'all time to shine. I believe in every one of you. I believe in every one of you. You are all winners in my book. So we're gonna do this, okay? All right. I see y'all ganging up on the camera. I love that. All right. So
Y'all get close if you want.
get close. Y'all ready?
That gets coming.
We're frozen. Okay, I'm gonna wait till y'all ready. Y'all look so good, besties. Y'all look so good. Okay. Are we ready?
So like more people can be in like the bottom.
Help your friends out. All right. Remember the numbers because we're gonna go. All right. Spirit check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, Winthrop.
Thank you
y'all so much. Y'all did so good.
Oh, that was beautiful. Quest, we love you. All of our teaching fellows and Call Me Misters. Dr. Fuller, thank you so much for leading this panel. I hope y'all learned something today. For all of our teacher cadets, tomorrow you'll be taking class with our professors, so please make sure you're ready for that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We love you guys and congratulations. All right, have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for putting this together, Miss Panton.
Wave big, y'all. Ready? Wave big. There we go. Bye, everybody.